Hey, what's going on, guys? Coach Justin from Ultimate Baseball Training here. Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're talking all about how to crush more home runs. I'm gonna give you some simple swing tweaks that you can add to your swing to crush the ball not only more consistently, but harder and further, leading to more line drives and more homers over the fence. And the beauty about these swing tweaks is it doesn't matter your age, your size, your strength, heck, your skill level. It doesn't matter if you're a baseball player or softball player. These tweaks will help any player hit the ball harder and more consistently. So I really think you're gonna enjoy this video. A lot of these tweaks you may have never heard before. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. All right, so the very first thing when it comes to hitting more home runs that you have to understand is where bat speed really is generated from. And a lot of bat speed is generated from getting separation. And what I mean by separation, every single hitter, you have your regular stance and then you go into your load and you stride towards the pitcher, right? And separation is getting separation from your upper body and your lower body. And so really the more separation that you can get, the more bat speed you're gonna be able to generate, the more power you're gonna be able to exert on the baseball, right? And the analogy that I love to use is a rubber band. And so if I had a rubber band in between my fingers, the further I stretch that rubber band apart, the more energy that's gonna be built up, right? And with our baseball swing, it's the exact same thing. The more separation, right? With the rubber band, it was separation with my fingers, but with the baseball swing, the more separation I can get from my upper and my lower body. All right, so my upper body, my hands are back here like this. I've got a really good stretch here with this arm. My lower body, when that front heel starts dropping, my hips kind of start rotating and pulling everything else to the zone. But this here, getting into a really good launch position, you can see the separation between my upper body and my lower body. And so that's the very first thing. If you want to be a powerful hitter, really crush line drives and home runs, you have to work on getting separation. Too many times I see younger hitters, and what they do is they get into their stance, and let's say that they position their hands somewhere right in here, right? This is a pretty normal stance, pretty traditional stance. But what I see from a lot of younger hitters is they go into their load and their stride, and their hands don't move at all. Their hands just kind of stay in here like this. And then at this point, they load and they stride and their hands are in here, and really the only power that they have, they can rotate a little bit, but the only power they have is throwing their hands at the ball. And you tell me what is gonna be a more effective swing with more bat speed, where my hands are just in here like this and all I have to throw at the ball is my hands, or when I get to a really good separation position and I have all of this energy built up to then explode onto the baseball. So if we know separation is a good thing, then how do we go about actually achieving it? I think there's two things you need to focus on, all right? Number one is allowing your body to walk away from your hands. And what I mean by that is when we load, we should not artificially push our hands back towards the catcher like this. When we load, our hands really shouldn't move a whole lot. So when we load, if I start with my hands here, my hands should pretty much stay here in my load. Might have a little bit of a barrel tilt coming towards the plate, but my hands definitely aren't pushing back like this. When my hands really, when I get that separation is when my body starts to stride towards the pitcher. My hands, I keep them back here like this. That's what gets that really good, length in this front arm and that really good lat stretch. That's what gets that separation from my upper body and my lower body. So focus on walking away from your hands in combination with, if you've ever shot a bow and arrow, basically what you do is with, for a right-handed hitter, your right arm, right? You pull back that bow, and it's kind of like pulling it back with your elbow. Well, the exact same thing can be done in the baseball swing. Again, when I load, my hands aren't moving a whole lot, but as I stride forward, my body walks away from my hands, and simultaneously, I kind of pull this elbow back ever so slightly. That's gonna get me into a good separated launch position. The next thing you really want to focus on in terms of crushing the ball harder and further is you want to focus on getting some shoulder tilt. And what I mean by that is if you're in your regular stance, obviously your shoulders are going to be nice and flat, nice and parallel with the ground like this, right? We don't get into our stance and have our front shoulder down or our front shoulder up like this. That just doesn't look natural, right? So we get into our regular baseball stance and our shoulders are level. But our shoulders should not stay level throughout our entire swing, right? Our shoulders, when we go into our load and our stride and we get to our launch position, we should have some downward tilt with this front shoulder. What I mean by that is this. All right, I'm in my stance, I load, I stride, when my front foot hits the ground and I get to this launch position here, you're gonna notice my front shoulder is slightly, just ever so slightly lower than my back shoulder. Again, it's not the extreme like this, but it's definitely not, you know, flat, and it's definitely not up. My front shoulder has a little bit of downward tilt here, and for big league hitters, it's around 9 degrees. All right, so, and then a lot of players, you know, they say, well, I don't want to drop my back shoulder. Right now I'm struggling with dropping my back shoulder. And that's kind of funny to word it like that, because any elite hitter at the point of contact, their back shoulder is going to be lower than their front shoulder, all right? And so you just want to avoid the extremes of, you know, you don't want to dump your barrel like this and really drop this back shoulder and be swinging up. But what any elite hitter does, like I just mentioned, they get that good downward shoulder tilt in their launch position where their front shoulder's lower, and then as they progress through their swing, their shoulders actually flip-flop. All right, so again, at the point of contact here, see how my back shoulder is lower than my front shoulder? And so you do want to have your back shoulder lower. Again, you just don't want to, you want to make sure that you're not dumping that barrel early, all right? But I'm telling you, shoulder tilt, if you just focus on, all right, when I load in stride and get to my launch position, my front shoulder has to be a little bit, you know, downward like this. And then when my front heel drops and I start the rotational component of my swing, that's when they switch. And obviously at the point of contact, my back shoulder is lower, but if you just focus on this shoulder tilt, it's gonna help you really create an axis for your body to swing around. You're gonna hit the ball more consistently. You're definitely gonna hit it harder and further. Another thing I really wanted to mention is the importance of staying connected. And what I mean by staying connected is really just keeping everything in tight to your body. So when you go and progress through your swing, keeping everything in tight to your body like this is a much more powerful position than if I were to let everything, you know, kind of get away from my body like this. I mean, what looks like a more powerful position? This, where everything's away from my body, or when everything's tight to my body like this? Have you ever wondered why next to every single hitter on the planet hits the ball a little bit harder and further to their pull side? Why is that? Well, the biggest reason is because in order to pull the baseball, you have to stay connected. If this is an inside pitch, the pitcher throws it inside, right? In order to successfully hit this baseball, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to keep my hands and everything else in tight to my body like this. I can't hit this ball with my hands out here. I gotta keep everything in tight to my body, and I gotta hit it out in front of the plate. But when I make contact with that pitch, everything is in tight to my body, as opposed to on an outside pitch, we still want to do our best job to stay connected, but just naturally things are not going to be as connected on an outside pitch because of where the baseball is positioned in the strike zone. Okay, but if you really want to hit the ball with a lot of power, with a lot of authority, you want to focus on staying as connected as possible. Really, it's just something that you have to work on off of the tee and in soft toss and front toss and batting practice. It's something that's going to take a lot of repetitions to get, and you just constantly have to tell yourself, stay connected, keep everything in tight to your body, all right? Don't let your very first move with your hands be out like this, because then you're already beat. All right, if you just keep everything in tight to your body, and at the point of contact, remember that this, for a right-handed hitter, your right elbow should be tucked in, you're gonna be golden. All right, and the very last tip that I want to give you in today's video, this is probably something that most of you have never heard before, and that is smash the bug under your front heel. All right, now let me explain what that means. A lot of baseball players are taught at a young age that they want to squash the bug, and I am not a believer in squashing the bug. What coaches mean by squashing the bug is with their backside, with the hitter's backside, they're encouraging them to turn their backside like this. And you know, these coaches, their heart and their mentality is in the right place. The reason why they tell hitters to artificially act like there's a bug underneath their back foot and squash it is because they're trying to get their hips to rotate so they can really get through the baseball. But what I want to encourage you to do is, instead of, you know, trying to squash the bug with your back foot, imagine when you get to this good launch position that we talked about. So we load, we stride, right? When we get to this really good launch position we talked about, I want you to imagine there's a bug underneath your front heel. Because as we've always talked about in a lot of videos, the swing, really the rotational component of the swing where you get a lot of your power from, it really starts when that front heel drops, and that's what begins the rotational phase. That's what begins everything else, like pulling everything else through the zone. And so if you just think about violently, you know, when you get to that launch position, if you just think about there's a bug underneath this front heel, I need to smash that bug, look how much more power you're gonna have on the baseball. So don't squash the bug with your back foot, smash the bug underneath your front heel. If you enjoyed this video, I really think you're gonna enjoy the free bat speed workout that I put together for you. It's 100% free. All you have to do to grab this free Bat Speed Boosters workout is just click on the very first link in the comment section. All right, I'll pin that comment to the top so it's easy for you to find. You just click on that link. All I need is your email address so I know where to send this free Bat Speed Boosters workout. So go ahead and do that right now. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button for me. And last but certainly not least, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Join the UBT family. We're coming out with brand new baseball videos every single week, and I don't want you to miss any of them. So hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.